you what it's set up. This big cable here, that's what coming from the roof. I know my white is positive and my black is negative because I ensured it when I brought it down into the cabin that it was hooked up correctly. As you can tell, my solar is on, and little charge signs going into the battery. Normally with our 3 75-watt solars up there, we only have one battery at the time when we bought it, and it would take on a sunny day, but now the sun's not so strong as it is in the summer, but on a sunny day pardon me, we would get one battery charged in a few hours. But now we then added 2 more batteries to our system, so then with the 3 75-watt solars would take approximately 2 days, maybe 2.5 really good sunny days to charge all 3. But now the 2 we added yesterday are 200 watts. Yesterday giving us an extra 400 watts, which now means we have 625 watts coming into our batteries to charge them. Now this one here gives us a nice little, we're into October and it's a cloudy over today. This one here tells us that it's 29 degrees Celsius, the power coming in to the solars. That's not what temperature is outside, but that's the equivalent. And not sure what this is a new controller, by the way, so I'm not sure what this one is. And right now I'm getting 6.2 amps coming from our solar system down to the battery. And like I said, it's a cloudy, overcast day, and it's in the middle of October. So I mean, this is really good. So I mean, just for that alone, the increased wattage is bang on. With this solar panel, right now our batteries are reading 12.8 volts, and some people think that's fully charged. But if your batteries are fully charged, if you look at it, they usually go up to about 14 volts because the amperage just brings it up to make it look like it's a higher voltage. When you put it under load, it'll drop down. This one here has a button for I can hook up. These 2 go down to my battery, positive to positive, negative to negative, on the same battery because I got mine in parallel. Okay, and then this here is a load button. This button here, we got our pump hooked up to the battery, and then this wire goes down to our water pump down underneath the cabin. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this off of the battery and I'm going to put it directly onto the leads here so that I can turn off and on at the controller, or I can turn it off and on my switch. Eventually I'm going to be putting some lights in that direct DC lights on this panel as well, so that if we're just on battery, instead of having to go through our converter, which takes up some of your power, I can just get some DC lights and directly wire them onto here and control them from here. So you notice now that I've just dropped down a bit because I've been playing with the panel. The panel takes up a little bit of voltage, but it's not that the clouds have gone over, so my input is now a little bit lower. So I'm going to turn off my load and let that do its thing. Now right here, I got my batteries currently hooked up in series, in parallel. And with our additions, this is now taking a lot of space in our porch. These are gel batteries, so you don't have to put these in a well ventilated area like you do with the other batteries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 batteries and bring them underneath the bench here on a tray, so that if I need to pull them out, I can. And this will clear up my bench, and then all I'll have here is my converter. So that's my project for today. Okay, I'll get back to you once I get some work done. Okay, what I've done, I used to have my water pump come from underneath the house and into a box. I put light switches on because it's only DC, and we used to control our pump from here. But and because my old controller, let's see if I can find it. My old controller never had a load. It only had solar in and to your battery, to charge your battery. It never had from your battery out. So what we got done here is this one is solar in, charging your battery, and this one here is power out from your batteries. So now rather than going from the switch all the way down to my batteries, I just jump it across, and I could turn the load off or on right here. If I want power going to my DC equipment, I just leave this on. If I'm leaving the cabin and I don't want to load under at all, I just turn it off here before we were turning it off on the switch box. So either or is good. Next, I'm going to be disconnecting my current batteries, and I'm going to bring them down underneath. So this wire from the controller from solar in and then down to charge my batteries is going to be way too short, and this cable, as you notice, is been broken a bit, so I have to fix that as well when I'm doing it. We had the wrong connectors, but they did us at the time. So once I get everything disconnected, I'll bring it down onto the floor and I'll show you how to reconnect everything. Okay, I got the batteries all disconnected and put on the mat down below. I'll explain those other wires after. Right now I'm going to drill a hole, and I'm separating. I got a wire that goes down and I got a wire that's going to come up. And I'm separating them because I don't want, sometimes there should be no problem whatsoever, but sometimes if a cable gets a little bit heated, it helps the other cable heat up. But the ones I'm putting on has got extra insulation, there's no worries of that happening. But me being me, I still like to have my lot wires in the back here so that I could put my converter back there and not have to worry. So what I'm going to do, I got canvas on top of this shelf because it's easier to clean than the wood would be. And what I'm going to do, I started my little drill hole, so I know where that is. And then I'm just going to take my knife, and I'm going to cut through my canvas in an X. Right? And I'll show you why in a minute. So now I should be able to pull back the quarters, like that, and like that. And the same for here, and I will pull them back and put them over my circular side. And this is what happens when your wires go down. See, you can pull it up so you've not got a gaping hole there for stuff to fall down in on top of your batteries or anything. Okay, and then like this one here, I haven't got it. Oh, by the way, this is my Gen 3 battery charger, and I use this when I run the generator. And it's called Gen 3 because it's got 3 outlets. So each one of these wires goes to each of my batteries, and when I run the generator, this will charge my batteries. Because sometimes if you haven't got enough solar or anything out, you need to charge up your batteries. The nice thing about this Gen 3, it's a smart generator charger. I hook up to each individual battery. It doesn't count, it counts each battery as one cell. So it knows that it's reading that battery. It doesn't go into where the rest are all in parallel. It doesn't read the other batteries. It reads the one battery that I'm hooked up directly to. And this is what these cables are for. So when I hook everything up, I'm going to be hooking up my battery charger that I use when I do my solar. Okay? Okay. I've drilled holes, put my cable down. This is coming up from the batteries into my converter. Now this wire is a bit heavy for what I need, but that's all I had on hand. So rather too heavy than too light. So I will probably grab another one later on when I go out to town again, but for now it's going to do the trick. This here is still in from the solar. These are 2 leads that I have going down. They will hook onto my batteries so that the solar is charging the batteries. And this here is my load. And as I said before, my load is to the pump. So everything up here is now done. I got my positive and negative, which has got to go down to the batteries, to the converter. But I got them hooked up here. So now I just had to hook them up down bottom. And this is just protectors that clip on over. So now, bring this over here. I'm going to push my extra wire down through underneath. usually for heaters, but because this is running DC to some outlets, I used red just to show which outlets are DC off of this converter. So it's going from DC into the converter, coming out as AC here. But I didn't want this AC to be confused with the proper wiring in the house for AC. And we have 3 outlets that this runs, so that we can plug in our TV and 2 lamps when we're just on the converter. This is the wire going up to my converter that comes from outside, down the outside wall, and then I put it in on the basement, put it up. A little less stress on the wire. This big one, like I said, is going up to my converter. I'm going to be hooking that up to the batteries now. These 2 AC ones, that's dealing with my pump and the 3 AC outlets that we have that run off the converter itself, because we don't have our converter done into our solar panel, into our panel. So these are power that goes into the batteries. As soon as I hook this up, my converter, which is now my controller, which is now off, will light up, and it will tell me that I'm charging again. And I've been at this so long, the sun has gone in, and I'm not going to get much charge today anyhow. So, which is too bad. This is the nicest day we've had. So what I'm going to do is hook up my 3 batteries in parallel to one another. Now we have 2 types of connectors. As you can see, each battery has got the main post, and then they got this smaller post that is threaded. You can buy, to go from battery to battery, you buy one that it screws on to this post, as you can see on the negative lead I got there. See the threads in there? You screw that onto these posts, and then you run it to the connector on this side. And I got them taped off right now because I had power going to them, and I didn't want them to accidentally arc out or anything while I was going down. The other connector type that we have is this one. And they're generic, they come in one color, but they give you little stickers to show which one is negative and which one's positive, and you put them on yourself, which is why these are put on so poorly. I just shoved them on there. And these go from these posts to these posts. Both posts on the battery, both positives and both negatives, have the same voltage. The only thing is, some take a bigger connector, like this one I've got put on here. This is where I'm going to bring the power out and up to my converter on this battery. But all 3 batteries will be ran in series, so it'll still only be oh my god, if I get those 2 mixed up again. All 3 batteries will be run in parallel, which means I'm going to go from positive to positive to positive, and then negative to negative to negative, so that my voltage from all these 3 batteries at this end here will still only be 12 volts, but your current will be a lot higher, your current capabilities. Okay, now these connectors here, they are from the Gen3, comes down underneath, and I just got them on each post. This one here, I had to run it to underneath the screw of this connector because the positive screw on doesn't go all the way down. I got a gap down here, so it won't tighten it up. So, and I've taped off the connecting lead to my negative. What I like to do is I like to run all my positives first. If I'm putting leads on, I put all my positive leads on first, and then I put on my negative leads, so that I'm not going to be arcing when I'm putting on my positives. Okay? So as I get closer to the fin to what I'm doing here, I'll show you the results. Okay, I have all my positives hooked up, going from positive to positive to positive. This cable, the white cable coming in here, that's the positive cable that's going up to my converter. And I got negative, so I just got to put it on the post. And this red cable here is what's going up to my panel up there, up to my controller. That's the red one right there in the middle. Right? negative on that side, and I'm going to hook all my negatives up. And the first one I'm going to put on is our screw down one, because it takes a while to put it. Okay, I'm back. The hubby bought me some refreshments, which make this job go a little bit easier. Okay, this here is the negative. This cable is the negative coming from my converter. And I took this lead, and this lead goes to negative on the next battery right there. And this negative, which is, these two negatives are the same. This negative goes down to this negative on this battery, and I've got the negative to the converter hooked right to the controller is hooked right there. And these leads, like I said, once again, there's a set of leads for each battery, and they are for Gen 3 battery charger that runs on AC. Okay, and that is it. That is our wiring. Have a good day.